at this point in my life, had to be in his 20s by now. At this point, I've done exactly what you've said do. I've been obedient to you. He could have blamed God. He could have blamed everybody. But you know what? It wasn't very long before he was in charge of the prison. Why? Watch this carefully. Because he had the right attitude of what is my opportunity. In other words, God has allowed me here. What is my opportunity now? What was my opportunity in Potiphar's household? To learn and to be submissive to those in authority over me, and to learn how to manage, learn how to rule. And now in prison, what kind of opportunity can that be? Well, they put all the prisoners under his charge. And so now he's learning how to be authoritative, but he's also learning how, watch this, to treat other people right. Because you see, he grew up in a family. They didn't treat him right. He knew what rejection and pain and suffering and heartache and feeling like you're a nobody and that you don't count. In fact, I'm not too sure that there are many emotions in life, if any, that has the depth of pain that rejection has. Every divorce, every separation of kids and their family, whatever it might be, the feelings of being rejected, especially by somebody that you love or somebody that is meaningful to you and somebody very important to you. It is a very, very painful, indescribable, painful emotion. And so he knows that. And so when he's head of the prison, I am sure that all those experiences he'd had back home, and the way he was treated, and the way they just absolutely, totally tried to destroy him. How would he respond in prison? He would take the opportunity to do what? To express genuine caring. Because you see, he was there, not because of something he had done, but because he was falsely accused. Have you ever been really falsely accused of something? It's a very painful feeling when you know that you've done what's right and somebody else accused you of doing something wrong. So how did he respond? He responded, I believe, in a caring way for those prisoners. Because you see, his past crisis had made it possible for him to respond in the right way. Then, of course, he's in prison. And you remember the two gentlemen who worked for Pharaoh, the baker and the cupbearer. Both of them had dreams, and one of them was restored and the other one was not. The baker was hanged. And so, it's just one crisis after the other. Then one morning he wakes up. And they come to him and they say, you need to get a shower and get dressed up here. You're going before Pharaoh himself. Well, what was all of that? Well, that meant his death or whatever it meant. And so they dress him up, and what's happened is that Pharaoh's had this dream. You remember the dream about the cows, the lean cows and the fatted cows and the lean stalks and the heavy stalks of corn. And so he's had this dream, and all of his soothsayers and so forth, they couldn't interpret it. So the butler says, there was a man in prison when he was a Hebrew, and he interpreted my dream. So Pharaoh calls for him. Well, what did that mean? He didn't have an idea what that meant, but it was a wonderful opportunity. Now watch this. Because Joseph had the awesome privilege and opportunity to present his God, this Hebrew God Jehovah, to confront all the heathen gods of Egypt. Because he said, my God is Jehovah. I'm not an interpreter, but he will. He can interpret your dream. And so he told him the dream. And Joseph interpreted the dream and said, there'll be 7 years of awesome bounty. 7 years of absolute nothing. Nothing is going to grow. And the wisest thing for you to do is to, in these first 7 years, plan for the next 7 years. And so when he got through talking to Pharaoh, Pharaoh asked the question, well, what man is there in all of Egypt as wise as this man? So what did he do? He made him second only to himself. He said he'll ride in the second chariot. And he said, no one will lift a hand in all of Egypt without Joseph's permission. Now think about this. When he was at home, he didn't know anything about ruling anything except to be ruled. In every circumstance, in every crisis of his life, God was preparing him for something else. He served faithfully Potiphar. He learned how to manage. He learned how to oversee. And now he has the very awesome position of being able to rule over all of those who had ruled over him. What was his attitude all during this time? Looking to the Father, trusting him. He had a dream, and he was believing that what God had shown him would be true one day. Now, I'm just giving you all that as a background of what I really want to say about facing crises in your life and the opportunities we have. Because you're going to have them. And you can either respond incorrectly and suffer the consequences. And sometimes people say, well, I don't know why I've not gotten any further along in life. More than likely, it's because back here, watch this, back here in things that you thought were insignificant, God thought they were very significant because he was testing you, giving you the opportunity, testing you, trying you, and revealing to you how you're responding. And I think many people wonder why or how somehow they missed it in life, when the truth is they didn't respond correctly in the simple little tests and trials that came their way. So, with all that in mind, I have 15 suggestions. I'm going to put them all on mag screens. I want to tell you this. I know they work. I've been through enough crises in my life to know they absolutely work. So if you're going through a crisis, no matter what it is, I can tell you this will work. If you're wise enough to write these down, put them to the test, try them, you will find yourself in any crisis, no matter what it might be, God bringing you through it with confidence and assurance. You may not start out with that confidence and assurance, but it'll be there. So I want to begin with one. The basic one is simply this. I must see these crises, whatever it might be, I must see them, first of all, the way God would have me to look at it. And that's this. He's working everything in my life for my good. Romans 8:28. You say, oh, I've been hearing that all my life. Well, but what have you done about it? Have you been practicing that? In other words, if you can see, if you believe that Romans 8:28 is true, that God causes all things to work for our good, if you and I truly believe that, that is to those of us who are his children, that is the first step. When a crisis comes, the question is not, God, why did you do this? But I have to look and ask myself the question, do I really